Check this out. Look at this. Boom, 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 boom. Thirds, fourths, junior. So many juniors. Oh my God. And there's like a couple seniors. 276. It's like 12% of the people on this list are juniors, seniors, thirds, and fourths. I asked in the Discord, I was like, is this like a rich person thing to name your kid Junior? Hey, it's the Goblin Queen. What's going on? Blow, blap, blow. Everybody, I've been trying to add some new things to the OBS setup. Let me test this out, okay? Like, I don't know if this is going to work, but let me try this. I got a soundboard. Does this work?
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
Did that work? Let's get Grove maxed. Awaken Naptown. You think the Duolingo mascot murder was an owl humiliation ritual? Yeah, by the all the billionaires who aren't invited to Bohemian Grove. It worked? Nice. Sick. All right, I got some clips. I'm gonna try to play them when I remember. Yeah. But we're not totally talking about only Jeffrey Epstein this week. I know, that's a big change for me. We've got some extra stuff. Let's hop over to the Obsidian board here. We are talking about Epstein too, but all right. Gang, you've been watching the stream. You know that I've been working on a project on Bohemian Grove for a while now. I'm pretty interested in it. It's been, I guess, like one of my hyperfixations lately. And wouldn't you know it, we got some Bohemian Grove news this past week. Pretty cool. This doesn't happen very often. We got Dan Boguslaw. This guy's name is Boguslaw. You ever think about that? Boguslaw. Is that a real name? It's like, oh, Dan, don't you know you're not allowed to park in front of a fire hydrant? He's like, that's a bogus law. Anyway, I don't know. But yeah, like, I don't know. I never heard of him before, but I guess he's like an Intercept guy. Yeah, it sounds like a goofy character in a cartoon series. Totally. Well, here we are on Boguslaw's Law blog. And exclusive, I obtained the attendance list for the Bohemian Grove. So this is pretty cool. This is, I guess, just the list of people who attended in what year? I don't know. All right, well, we'll get to it in a second. We'll find out. It's a recent year. I can tell it's not like this year because Henry Kissinger's on there and he's not alive. He's dead. So I don't know if he was there, then damn, that would be a story. He goes, later this week, I'll be writing a longer post about the glorious summer I spent driving up Highway 1, blowing through my COVID bucks, getting this list and a handful of other crazy stories. For now, please check out the mini doc I made with the fine folks over at More Perfect Union and see what you can see in this list of some of the most powerful men in the world, which I'm publishing below. All right. So for those of you guys, if you're like hanging out and you're like, sorry, what the heck is Bohemian Grove? Is it like some sort of a place in the woods where like a bunch of dirty hippies go and hang out? You know, just based on the name, maybe that's what you think. You're like almost right, except for instead of dirty hippies, imagine like a bunch of dirty like billionaires, titans of industry, the leaders of the corporate world, the social upper class, the 0.0001%, you know, the Republican donor class, really. This is Bohemian Grove is specifically, and this doesn't get talked about enough, it really is specifically geared towards Republican supporters. It's not general, like, you know, hey, like the elite, the power elite, the people who control the world, they are on both sides, right? We all know this. The two whatever parties in the U.S. and pretty much everywhere are controlled opposition by the elite. But like Bohemian Grove is not really a Democrat thing. It's mostly for Republicans. And that's not to say that Democrats are great. They're also funded by people, but this is a specifically Republican group. Anyway, we'll get more into that in a second. There's some Democrats. Like here's how I'll put it though. Every single Republican president since 1900 was a member of Bohemian Grove right up until Trump. Trump was the first Republican president since 1900 not to be a member, possibly earlier than that. But whereas none of the Democrat presidents were members there. Yeah, Paul Pelosi is a member, yeah. And there are a few, I think, Democratic electeds and like some people from like, you know, Obama's cabinet, Clinton's cabinet, his advisors and stuff like that. But like, bear in mind, you know, a lot of the guys that like Clinton had in his cabinet that were advising him were Republicans, you know. Like, but there are people with connections to the Democrat Party. Kissinger, right? Henry Kissinger is there. Would I call him a Democrat? I mean, I guess technically, but he worked with both. You know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's let this guy explain it. This dude from More Perfect Union. More Perfect Union is such a good YouTube channel. Goddamn, so good.
Behind this door, through this gate, and under these trees,
the drone wasn't able to fly where we wanted it to go.
It keeps dropping signal.
There is a real and actual secret society. A group of the most powerful, wealthy men in the world, going back over a century. The Bohemian Club is an invite-only, men-only social club in San Francisco that's long been the center of conspiracy theory.
Have you been there for the ceremony with the cremation of care? I don't think that's something I need to talk to you about.
Especially...
That's such a funny video with Alex Jones, and the guy's like, I don't know. Like, he gives him such a stupid answer, basically, like, reveals that he definitely is sacrificing children. Like, if Alex Jones is coming up to you and trying to, like, hit you with a gotcha question, just ignore him. But this guy doesn't ignore him and actually gives Alex, like, exactly what he's looking for. You can't do that. Don't do that. I know these people are annoying, but don't do that. Don't give them exactly what they want. I don't have to tell you.
Surrounding their yearly encampments at Bohemian Grove, allegedly meant for the ultra-powerful to just relax and bro out.
SEAL Team 6 came.
The lakeside talks. That's key.
This lady here is, I don't remember her name, but she was the woman who helped John Ronson and Alex Jones break into the Grove in 1999. She's like a long-time, or I guess it was 2000. She's like a long-time like activist, left-wing activist in that sort of area. Yeah.
This is where they would keep all of the sex workers during the Grove.
Presidents, CEOs, bankers, lobbyists, Supreme Court justices, CIA directors, and those are just the people who've been disclosed already. The full membership is meant to be completely private. But investigative reporter Daniel Boguslaw reached out to More Perfect Union with something wild.
This is every member of Bohemian Club, and this is everyone who attended the 2023 summer encampment.
2023.
Even just the first few names I saw.
All right, so that'll explain why Kissinger's on it. 2023, everyone who attended the summer encampment.
Made me realize this is a story. Lots of people have already tried to enter the Grove or generally reveal its secrets, exposing the supposed occult rituals that go on inside.
Well, I'm Alex Jones, and I snuck in there in 2000.
But we wanted to know, what does any of this actually mean for the rest of us Americans who aren't part of this elite club? I get that they do weird rituals, but how is that my problem? So Dan and I went...
It's so funny. Yeah, I mean, the rituals are kind of like, they're interesting, I guess, but the more you look into them, I mean, it depends on who you are. If you're Alex Jones or like Kathy O'Brien or somebody, you'll be like, they're sacrificing children. But they don't believe that, I don't think, really. Like, if Alex Jones really believed that they were sacrificing children, then why does he support so many people who go to Bohemian Grove? Clearly, he doesn't think that. When you really get into the stuff about this ceremony, the cremation of care itself, it's very cheesy and kind of dorky and like a little bit cool and like a, you know, if you think that live action role play is cool or whatever, like D&D LARPing, like, yeah, maybe you'd be like, oh, yeah, it's kind of cool that they have this little fake, religious ritual they do. But really the interesting thing about Bohemian Grove is who's there, who's hanging out with each other and forming bonds with each other and creating, as like to say, this ruling class elite group cohesion, because the elite, they have certain whatever agendas in common. They have certain motivations in common, but they don't necessarily like know each other, right? Like all the oil billionaires in the South and all the like whatever stockbrokers on Wall Street and all the whatever like international trading magnates, like these are very different people who don't tend to maybe bump into each other in everyday life. So they rent out a place in the woods and they hang out, and that sort of helps the collective energy of this class of people. I don't know. I was going to say coagulate, but I think that only blood does that. You get the idea. It coagulates.
To California to investigate. We talked to workers from the Grove, a woman who has been protesting the Grove for nearly half a century and spent way too much time digging through old documents in hotel rooms. And what we found is almost scarier than any occult ritual. I know I
love when people say that. People keep saying that about the Epstein files. The Epstein files are even more insane than you ever thought. And it's like, okay, clearly you haven't seen what people think were in the Epstein files. But it's the same with this. It's like, it might even be scarier than, it's like, no, sorry. Like, I get where you're going for. It's not, like, you guys found a list of names that isn't scarier than what Alex Jones et al. Have been saying about child sacrifices and like MK Ultra, mind-controlled sex slaves happening at Bohemian Grove. I'm sorry. I know it's scary to look at the world's whatever elite hanging out and getting drunk in the woods together. Like that is legit. We should be concerned about that, but it's not as scary as the other stuff. It's not as scary as like the fucking overt fear mongering. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of other stuff going on right now in the news, but investigating the Grove explains a lot of things that are broken in our economy and how the power structures of our country have empowered small groups of influential rich people who have been driving policy decisions behind closed doors for generations. And among many other things, we'll be reporting for the first time the involvement of a current senator.
There it is. Weaving spider.
Dave McCormick, Republican senator. And I'm a little confused because I looked through the list. Maybe it's because the 2023 list has been out for a little bit. It was posted by some like MAGA guy, right? On his Twitter. It's just like him holding up a sheet. But surely this guy he said he spent like early COVID, like driving up and down or something like that. Like he must have got something more than that. So maybe it's just the list of current members as opposed to like the attendee list, right? I don't know.
I'm not here.
Let's go back to 1872. The Bohemian Club was started as a hangout for local journalists before growing and admitting artists and intellectuals, and eventually admitting rich guys, because those other guys don't have any money. They could eventually afford this 6-story building on the edge of the Tenderloin. The building itself offers little information. Drawn blinds, no one coming in or out. But the club started hosting summer encampments in the NorCal Redwoods in 1878, eventually moving them to the massive Bohemian Grove. The encampment's secrecy and notorious rituals, like burning a giant effigy in tribute to an owl statue, they're really big on owls, have made the event a magnet for conspiracy theory. The list Dan acquired was for attendance at an encampment nearly 150 years later.
I went to the Bay. I found a guy who I knew would have the list. I kept showing up to his office until he finally agreed to give it to me. This is the original list of 2017, full membership list of everyone who's part of the club. Subsequently, I was able, through those connections, to get more and more, and that's where we got the 2023 Grove encampment.
And the list is massive. Broken down into the smaller camps the members are split up into. But it's a totally overwhelming amount of information. Any name we researched was tied to something. So at first, it was hard for us to draw specific conclusions and connections. But then Dan got in touch with a source who put us on the right track.
We'd love to talk to you about the club there.
Thanks, Professor.
Because I'm
Oh, great question, Ruffles. Is there a Democrat equivalent to Bohemian Grove? Yes, 100% there is. There are many. We'll get into that in a second. That's a good point. Maybe we'll put a little pin in that.
I've been archiving and it's cold out here. I have no heat, so come with a good jacket.
Mary Moore, who lives not too far from the Grove, has been protesting and researching it for decades, long before Alex Jones even got his public access show.
Somebody came up and gave me a membership list, knowing that I was an activist. So we used it to research who was making the profit. These are the guys that prefer to work behind the scenes as much as they can. My purpose back then.
Yeah, the Democrat equivalent to Bohemian Grove is Epstein's Island, I guess.
And was to make people in the movement understand all our issues are connected by who profits from them.
So what modern issues can we tie directly back to the Grove? What was literally planned at the Grove that affects us today? There's decades of information. Reagan and Nixon specifically loved sending letters about their favorite secret society.
Let's go through these because they just throw them on screen. Someone sent Reagan, just received the good news of my election to membership in the Bohemian Club. Thank you for helping to make that possible. All right.
Society.
Dear Bill, thank you for your letter, April 3rd, 1981. I apologize for the delay in responding. Yada, yada, yada. Regarding the Bohemian Grove, my schedule is still extremely tight and does not appear to be letting up. However, if your conditions change, I'll be sure to let you know.
But a few things in particular stuck out to me. How they rigged our economy and broke certain programs that we're only now seeing the effect of. How they established a vast dark money lobbying network. how they set up a tax heist scheme to funnel taxpayer dollars directly to executives, how they ruin the very city they're headquartered in, and how they hold on to the power. Let's start small and specific with the rigged economy. This little tidbit is from the Reagan Library, and as far as I can tell, we're the first to unearth it. It's a memo to Alan Greenspan from Edwin Harper, who's a assistant to the president, saying,
So I gotta pause it here for a second. So like, what's crazy about this is that the entire purpose of Bohemian Grove is to have a space for all these very wealthy, very powerful people who, you know, they run the world, they run America, but that's stressful, right? The weight of the world is on them. They're stressed out. They're doing all these evil things, like fucking over you in particular, you, the person hearing this. They work hard every day, fucking over you. And the idea of the Bohemian Grove is they all take a couple weeks, or at least like an evening, however long they can make it out, like a weekend. Most of them don't go for the entire 2-week thing. They go there and they don't think about business. So that's why the slogan of Bohemian Grove, they read it earlier in the thing, weaving spiders come not here. That's why they have the cremation of care. The owl statue thing, they have like this, they burn an effigy of a human body that represents care, like caring about things. It's like, the whole point is like, we don't give a fuck about that. They're not supposed to talk about business. They're not supposed to talk about anything important. And yet you get all these powerful men in the woods, even if they're like half naked, like drunk, hammered, blackout drunk, like pissing on trees and shit. You get all these fucking world shakers together. They're gonna talk a little bit of business. Like what we're seeing here, this evidence that he's about to show us. Here, I'll get it back up on screen here. These are people actually breaking the rules of Bohemian Grove. Now, I'm not like, obviously, I'm not extremely surprised. Like, this is sort of what you would expect would happen. But imagine what they're doing when they meet up at these other retreats or these other kind of like elite kind of social bonding places that don't have rules like Bohemian Grove does. All right, let's see what they got here.
Alan Greenspan from Edwin Harper, who's a assistant to the president, saying, you asked for the paper we discussed at the Bohemian Grove, and it's this document called Social
See, they're not supposed to be discussing those kind of things, those papers and stuff.
Security Reform Proposals. This is from 1981. In 1983, the Reagan administration did reform Social Security. They made cuts that are still affecting us today. So I reached out to an expert, Alex Lawson at Social Security Works, who sent me one of my
Candid Pro. Recipes for lamb? Oops, wrong box. Okay. Awesome. That's good. I love that. Hey, look at this. Less Bohemian Grove, more Bonami Grove. Am I right, folks? Love it.
My favorite emails to receive, which just said, your thesis is completely correct. This cut to Social Security was planned at Bohemian Grove. And this is something that's going to be affecting like our generation. But that's not the only Reagan policy to come straight from the Grove. This one book tells the story of a Reagan advisor being persuaded to cut capital gains taxes by iconic investor Bill Draper, while they, quote, sat semi-naked at the Grove. That little change is what enabled the high-risk investment model of the venture capital business.
Yeah, so they're not supposed to be doing that. But like they do also have like, I think they're called lakeside talks at the Bohemian Grove, where like politicians will even go and give speeches. That's where George W. Bush announced, like his father, George H.W. Bush, both of whom were members of the Grove. His father was like, my son's going to be a good president one day, and he's going to do a speech at Bohemian. And he gave him a lakeside talk. So there are exceptions where they do talk politics and they do talk whatever. But yeah, I mean, for like this part, like they're sitting half naked, lounging around. Those are what you call weaving spiders.
Which spawned the tech industry as we know it today. Draper.
Wait, what spawned? Oh, he's saying this change.
Iconic investor Bill Draper, while they, quote, sat semi-naked at the Grove. That little change is what enabled the high-risk investment model of the venture capital business, which spawned the tech industry as we know it today.
I still can't believe Mark Andreessen's real head looks like that. How can he... Humpty Dumpty over here. What the fuck happened here? Did somebody like mold his head when he was a baby or something? That looks crazy.
Draper was
the worst thing about him. It's okay to have a cone head, but it's great. I haven't seen anybody else with that.
On the 2023 attendee list, still attending the Grove 42 years later, as was his son Tim Draper, also in venture
Well, really? Somebody made an anti-Bush senior speech? And he was saying that he wasn't enough like Reagan? Wow, that's crazy.
capital. That's another important part of this, the generational membership. Families that have been passing on power for generations, both in the form of wealth and these connections. And one of these families founded one of the most influential groups in American history. That's dark money.
Do any of these names ring a bell?
Charles Koch.
So, oh, by the way, see how Charles Koch's name comes up in blue?
Money.
Do any of these names ring a bell?
Charles Koch. That's because I now have my Bohemian Grove list here that automatically highlights members of the Grove. I guess current members or whatever this was, 2023 members of the Grove, whenever they come up. So I got Charles Koch now.
Charles Koch, obviously. Coors.
Pete Coors is the son of Joseph Coors Sr., himself the son of Adolf Coors. All three of the Coors beer
Adolf Coors. Yeah, you don't hear that name too often anymore.
empire. But the real legacy of Coors isn't beer. Joseph co-founded and funded the Heritage Foundation,
Heritage Foundation, that one's highlighted in orange because it's an Opus Dei run.
with other club members in 1976. Heritage is part of a network that has influenced, led, and funded pro-corporate politics for decades, all of which are connected to the club through...
See, like, we've talked about all these groups before. The Business Roundtable, that group there, like, Domhoff singles them out as being... Sorry, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, G. William Domhoff is the guy who wrote the original book about Bohemian Grove. He wrote this book called Who Rules America, and he's a power studies researcher. Power network, he kind of like maps power networks, basically. And he'll get big lists of all of the Fortune 500 companies, all the people who sit on their boards, all their CEOs. He'll compare that to people who sit on like think tank boards and foundation boards, like Business Roundtable, or like, the list of members of Bohemian Grove. And he's like, how many people at Bohemian Grove, for example, sit on 2 or more of these like Fortune 500 company boards, right? And he gives each one of these things a ranking. Bohemian Grove, centrality ranking. So this is what he calls it, centrality ranking. So it's a score of 0 to 1. We constructed a large matrix based on the overlapping members in 30 of these types of organizations. When we studied it with a fancy program for network analysis, the Bohemian Club was number 11 in centrality. So Bohemian Club is like a very influential board, right? It's like super, there's a ton of connected people at this club that like can network with each other. Now, that is a social club, but they're not even the number 1 social club. Above them, we've got the Chicago Club, the Pacific Union, and then right up at the very top, the number 1 most influential social club with a score of 0.8, Bohemian Club's 0.62, is the Lynx Club. And this is a golf, I was going to say golf course, but I guess it's a golf club. No, golf club is what you play with. What do you call it? A golf, I don't know. It's a club where you play golf and you have to become a member. This is this is like much more influential than Bohemian Grove, but nobody gets dressed up like a cult member and sacrifices a effigy to a stone owl. So you don't hear as much about that. Alex Jones isn't trying to sneak in, but yeah, that's up there. Council on Foreign Relations. This one's number 6. 0.68, Brookings Institution. So Business Council, the Business Roundtable, maybe that isn't the type of organization that would go on here, because I think Business Roundtable is, I got my Who Rules America book in the room. But Business Roundtable, I know, is one that he talks about a lot as being super important. So it's interesting to me that it's connected to Heritage Foundation. It's connected through funding, founders, or board members. Okay, yeah, this is Dom shit right here.
funding, founders, or board members and directors. Heritage was immensely powerful during the Reagan administration and had huge...
Oh, where would Mar-a-Lago be? Like, not even close to the top. I mean, probably now would be much more important. This list was made in, I don't know, like, I'm not sure when this was originally made. 74 is when Bohemian Grove and Other Retreats was published, but a study in ruling class cohesiveness. But I'm not sure, does it say down here? Oh yeah, 1975. Okay, so this is like a 1975 list. But Mar-a-Lago, I mean, now it's kind of like the club you go to if you want to bribe the American government. But so yeah, maybe it's gone up in the ranks, but
huge influence on his policy. Charles Koch, synonymous with anti-worker political spending, obviously attends the Grove.
Obviously.
And remember when Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas got caught?
Clarence Thomas, another guy who's in
attends the Grove. And remember
for his connections to Opus Dei.
Remember when Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas got caught taking lavish gifts from Club for Growth lead Harlan Crow?
Finland, yeah. I mean, isn't Mar-a-Lago a bunch of like dentists and guys who inherited their dad's hot tub stores? Yeah, I mean, like that's what it was. Now it's like something different. Like the way Trump grifted his way into the Oval Office, that is where you go if you want to bribe the government. There are so many people trying to join Mar-a-Lago these days. There's an interesting book, The Grifters Club, about Mar-a-Lago and about like what it's like there now. I mean, it was from Trump's first term in office. So I'm sure it's even worse nowadays, but it just seems like I don't know. It's like, I'm not even sure how to describe it. Like, it's like the trailer park version of Bohemian Grove or something. Not that it's poor people, but it's just like, I don't know, like trashier billionaires, I guess, you know? I don't know. That feels gross to even describe it like that. Nothing wrong with being in a trailer park. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like way more, I don't know, like Trump's all about like the performance of opulence, right? Like this like weird like wealth porn. Like I like how John Mulaney, I think, described him as like, Trump is like a poor man's like idea of a rich man or whatever. Like, oh, when my number comes in, I'll have fine golden hair or whatever, for golden toilet and ornate things on the walls. It's all so cheesy and like tacky and like, you know, like these types of guys are like the old money that has like, I don't know. They're more in the club of like rich people. I guess Trump has like poor person appeal, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of put my foot in my mouth here a little bit, but you guys get what I mean, I hope. Not a lot of black people at Bohemian Grove, almost none, but they have made an effort to have more black people, and I believe like around the 80s, they started really realize they had zero Jews, and they're like, we got to get more Jewish guys in. And that's when they got Harry Shearer, the voice of Mr. Burns. Maybe they were just like, we like Mr. Burns. Oh, that's not a real guy? Let's get the guy who does his voice.
One of those gifts was a trip to Bohemian Grove. Heritage founder Coors Sr. is long dead, but his co-founder, Edwin Fulner, is on the attendance list for the
I guess that wouldn't have been the 80s. It must have been the 90s then. Yeah, 90s that they got Harry Shearer in.
Grove in 2023, when he would have been 82 years old. And he was on the board of Heritage until he died in late 2025. But there's one family that's more deeply tied to the Bohemian Club and elite collusion than any other. That brings us to tax heist. The Bechtel family incorporation isn't a
Have you guys ever heard this? Heard of this family? The Bechtel family. I never heard of them before.
household name, but they're one of the wealthiest families and largest private corporations in the world. There are 2 Bechtels on our list, and the family has been involved for generations. Here's Stephen Bechtel Sr. at camp with Henry Kissinger, which came with a cute little memo from Bechtel to Kissinger with Henry
Okay, we got Colin Powell on the right. Damn. Wow.
Kissinger, which came with a cute little memo.
See the owl in the background over Kissinger's shoulder there? You got owls everywhere.
From Bechtel to Kissinger. The Bechtel Corporation works in massive construction projects, the kinds a government needs to pay for. This is just a partial list of people who sit in the center of the Bechtel executives government Bohemian Club member Venn diagram. Caspar Weinberger,
some kind of test, yeah.
George Schultz, Edwin Meese, John McCone. McCone invented the concept of cost plus for government contractors. The system where contractors tell the government how much something cost, then get a little profit treat on top of that. Because the contractor determines the cost, they have no reason to keep costs down, especially surrounding executive pay. It screwed us on everything from how much of our tax dollars go to the wealthy to Medicare Advantage. Then, in the early 2000s, the US invaded Iraq, driven by club members like George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, and Colin
this is aged well, this thing that came out like a week ago.
Powell. Bechtel got paid millions to clean up the mess. Since so much of this was planned at the Grove, we had to see the place, where the slogan is supposedly "Weaving spiders come not here," which implies they aren't supposed to be doing business there. So what exactly are they doing up there? So we drove over.
No trespassing violators will be prosecuted.
And again, we're met with nothing but a security booth and some strange issues with our drone.
It keeps dropping signal. Pretty weird. I mean, I haven't seen this much interference.
It's not Grove season after all. But talking to some folks in the neighboring town, Monte Rio, had a lot to teach us.
At my old job, we used to like point to the mountain where the property is, and then the people of the Grove like came and told us that we can't say that.
But then Dan got a call that could give us an inside view.
Where I come from, it's kind of a rite of passage to work at the Bohemian Grove.
Two former employees of the Grove, a driver and a skeet shooting instructor, were down to talk to us, but wanted to stay anonymous.
It's all kind of structured in a way so that the members don't really have to see any of the workers. They don't have to interact with them. They're not supposed to interact with them. So what I saw was a picture of the entire cast of their production of Macbeth with Colin Powell as the lead.
Which all seems just kind of...
That's interesting because from what I understand, Colin Powell played like Macbeth in Macbeth. That's unusual because they do plays and they cast powerful people in the plays. But I don't, like, usually they have the powerful people just do like walk-on roles. They don't do like, you wouldn't have like someone like that playing Macbeth, you know? Like maybe he was in it. I doubt he was Macbeth himself. That would be something that they would give to like the actors. Because there's two ways to get into Bohemian Grove. You can either, I'll show you on the list. So yeah, I took the list and I added some stuff to it. Now, there are certain types of members, right? So I put member type here is one of my columns. I hope you guys can read that. But if you're in, and actually let me put it in order by camp because that's mostly how I did it. So it's the Abbey camp. I don't know what the member type that is, but the aviary camp. I don't know if you can see that. There's a whole bunch of people in the aviary. That's members of the chorus. These are like singers. So these are probably, most of these people are probably not like famous, powerful people. They're like artists. The monkey block, anyone from the monkey block thing is an artist, like a visual artist, like a painter or something like that. They got those kind of artists. And they got, what else they got? The club orchestra. They got so many shit. They got chorus, they got club orchestra, they got a band, they got Jinx band, they got all kinds of things. So there's like actors, there's singers, there's some of the clubs are mostly like, maybe things change over time. Like again, I'm going off of mostly what Domhoff says, and his research is from like the 70s. But I believe Monkey Block is still the artists, and Aviary is still the chorus. But it's interesting, like this guy Robert Steele is both Monkey Block and Aviary. So he's like, I can draw and sing. I can do a little bit of both. Yeah, maybe I can look for this part. Found it exactly. So this is Domhoff. They produce plays, yada, yada, yada. The major parts in this drama are played by associate or performing members of the club, middle-class men with musical, theatrical, artistic, or literary talents. But sometimes very important men, like Colin Powell, have small walk-on roles that show they are just one of the gang when they're at Bohemian Grove. They are carrying a spear for Bohemia, as the saying goes, which means they are chipping in, doing their part, being good sports. If the year were 1996, there would be 3 spear carriers doing a little add-on part. Oh yeah, this is just a good example of how lame this shit is. There is a little add-on part during the cremation of care ceremony where they do the sacrifice, and it was George H.W. Bush, Clint Eastwood, and Walter Cronkite were pretending to be the Budweiser frogs. You remember that old commercial? They're like, Bud, why, Zer. They were doing that, but instead of Budweiser, they were going, cremation. So that's the kind of like type of lame shit that these annoying like rich Nepo babies come up with. They're like, oh, let's do the thing. What if we did a thing like in that, that beer commercial? It's so funny. Wouldn't it be funny if we did it? If we just did that? Like, that's the type of shit they get up to. But yeah, anyway, so unlikely, I would say. I mean, who knows? I don't know nothing. But I feel like it's unlikely that Colin Powell was the lead of this thing.
Production of Macbeth with Colin Powell as the lead.
Yeah, even Clint couldn't do a star. I mean, Clint, you could see him doing a starring role, but no, I guess not.
Which all seems just kind of weird and lame, right?
Yeah. It's cheesy. I don't think these guys are spending every day thinking about how they can fuck up the environment and the world, but it's got to be nice to have a little respite from doing that.
Monte Rio is the poorest town in Sonoma County.
The cost of living out here has become unbelievable. It's almost as expensive to live out here as it is to live in San Francisco proper.
Similar is true of the area back in the city around their clubhouse. The Tenderloin is the poorest part of SF, a city that's been the center of national discussion about housing prices, crime, and homelessness, and a state that's been a hot point regarding taxing the...
Yeah, like Cronkite does the voice of do the voice of the owl, I think, the owl of Bohemia sometimes. Not every year, but
rich, which brings us back to Dan's list.
So Dan, what's the name of this big SF advocacy group?
It's called Neighbors for a Better San Francisco. At one point, I believe still was the biggest big dollar spender in local SF politics. This group is spending on city council races, mayor races, trying to sway ballot measures, ballot initiatives.
Nick Podell?
Yep.
William Oberndorf?
Yep.
Stephen Merrill?
Bingo.
Yeah, so like you can see the names of these guys, right? Like, so the Hillbillies is the Texas group. That's where like the Bushes are. Isn't it interesting? Like the Bushes, right? This is a fucking generationally wealthy family. Like you have to go back a long way in their history to find anyone who's ever fucking struggled for a meal. And yet they're called the Hillbillies. A lot of the names of the clubs are like poor people, derelicts, you know what I mean? So like, I feel like there is a thing there where they're like sort of cosplaying, right, as like poor people. And there's some like cultural appropriation too. There's a lot of like indigenous, whatever, like names, Friends of the Forest, Hermits. There's another one, right? These guys are just having a great time. Here's Hillbillies. So this is where the Bushes were. The Bushes aren't on this list. I guess they didn't go in whenever it was, 2023. Oh, Moonshiners. It's like you guys have probably none of the Moonshiners have ever actually drank moonshine. You know what I mean? This seems more like a fucking like 30-year-old fucking whiskey only type crowd, right? And yet they're called the Moonshiners. Like I think that's part of the appeal for them, I think. Anyway, Powwow is another one. Powwow. So like, some of the indigenous appropriation stuff. Oh, this one I always thought this one's funny. Sons of Toil. I feel like that could just be like another word for Nepo babies. Although I think the Sons of Toil, Domhoff, is mostly supposed to be faculty. Like they're supposed to be professors, like academics. Anyway, whatever. You get the idea. I probably don't need to go all the way down here. Whiskey Flat. And yet I did anyway. That's an interesting theory. Yeah, I can see that. Maybe a reference to Beverly Hillbillies. Although no, I don't think so. Because I think the Hillbillies have been around for a lot longer than Beverly Hillbillies. Like when did the Beverly Hillbillies come about? When did that show air? 62 to 71? Okay, I mean, yeah, maybe. As I know it was a thing in 72. I assume it was a thing earlier because the Bushes have definitely been part of the Bohemian Grove for way before that. When Alex Jones went to the Grove, he's got a Texas accent. So he pretended to be a hillbilly. He pretended he was from the Hillbillies. That was his cover story. No, they're not all from the start. The clubs grow and grow and grow as time goes on. Some of the clubs that were there in 72 aren't there now.
Yep.
Stephen Merrill?
Bingo.
This thing's basically just an offshoot of the Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, this is Atwater. He's the founder and former chairman of Prime Finance. He was one of the big backers of this neighbors group.
They most recently did a ballot measure that would have marginally increased property taxes on the most wealthy to fund affordable housing. And top donor, William Oberndorf, who used his charitable foundation to donate $2,000 to Make-A-Wish Foundation and $200,000 to Neighbors. And Neighbors, like Heritage or any of these ghoulish national organizations, is just one part of a network of linked organizations sharing a small pool of donors and board members across the city. But let's zoom back out nationally. Mary said something that made me curious about the power of the Grove.
Oh, yo, I gotta show you this very cool website. It's called They Rule. And I think it's created by Domhoff and a couple other of his tech savvy friends, and it's based on old data. I wish it was updated. It would be so cool to do this in 2026, but it's from 2011 or something. I'll just go play it automatically, but it'll be like, okay, 3M, here are all the people on the board of this, and then it'll randomly pick one. Gregory 8R Page. Okay, he's also on the board of Deere & Company, and this guy's also on the board of Target Corporation. And this person's also on the board of McKesson Corporation. And it'll just start building out this thing. But you can also be like, oh, here's Tesla Inc. Oh, look at this. We've got Kimball Musk associated with Epstein and Elon Musk associated with, what's it called, PayPal Mafia. And then up here, Richard Carmona. That guy's in Bohemian Grove like now. But yeah, like why don't we see, okay, Kimball Musk, what other board is he on? Can I, does it not have it? Kimball Musk, I guess not. Whatever Elon Musk. Can I learn more about him? Not on any other boards in this data set. Okay, here we go. Merck & Co. Who's on that? Oh, Morgan Stanley, Ray Wilkins. Oh, dang. Oh, let's go. Perry Trakina, he's on 2 boards. Like, imagine, like, how much free time you got. You're sitting on 2 Fortune 500 company boards? That's crazy. Allstate. So one of you guys got to be on another board in this data set. No, man. Anyway, but yeah, it's kind of like a crazy little thing to click around on. This is, I guess, like the power network that Domhoff is like theorizing about. Like what, like Bohemian Grove would be one of these things, but it would have like 2,500 guys coming out of it. Well, I guess not, because that would be the board of Bohemian Grove as opposed to like every member of it. But yeah, no, it's interesting. Anyway, continue.
Today,
Trump is not welcome at the Grove.
This is nuts. And I mean, like, I can see it. Like I said, like Trump is like very like gauche, I feel, for these guys, right? Like Trump, in a very real way, he doesn't represent the establishment. He was always excluded from it. It's like part of what made him so angry at like when Obama was like, yeah, you're never going to be president, dude. You know, like it made him want to run. Like nobody who was anybody was like, no, Trump's going to win. It was only the most insane people that were like behind him from the beginning. Like your Roger Stones, you know, or fucking David Pecker or whatever, the guy at the Inquirer, like, yeah, you're not gonna be whatever. Oh, he gets into this more, but like, yeah, okay. So I'm just saying, like, I could totally imagine that this is true, that Trump. Yeah, well, let's just hear what she says.
Trump is not welcome at the Grove. He tried to join. He's not a member. He's not on the list. You'll see.
Like, that is so interesting, and yet I don't know. I mean, I've never heard that before. I like instinctively, I want to believe it. It seems right, but like, I don't know. As much as he represents an outsider, he got in, and like the Republicans were like, oh, fuck. The Bohemians guy was supposed to be Jeb Bush, right? The Bushes. They're in the fucking hillbillies. But Trump got in. But they didn't end up losing. In fact, they got even more of what they wanted. Project 2025 is like a Heritage Foundation thing. They got like everything they ever dreamed of.
They didn't want him.
But the Trump agenda is still inherently tied to the Bohemian Club. This is how they held on to power. Back in New York, Dan and I started digging into the influence of the club on today's administration and politics. I found this clip of Ed Fellner, who was one of the founders, and he's been attending the Grove for years. He was on your list in 2023. He did die a little bit after this, but here he is just a few months before that meeting of the Grove.
Tomorrow, at our celebration, we'll be introducing Mandate for Leadership 7, called Project 2025, Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. A sincere thank you from this old man who was around the first time it all happened.
The first time it all happened, that's, you know, going into the Reagan administration and making all the changes that we're still facing today that make our lives more difficult today.
And it goes to show these people's ability to reconsolidate power, right? They didn't get the guy they wanted the first time around. They didn't let Trump in, but they were still able to weasel their way.
Okay, he's saying it too. They didn't let Trump in. Like, I want to know where that it's from. Like, how do we know?
And craft his policy book.
In the months that Project 2025 was being written, the board of the Heritage Foundation was like a quarter Bohemian Club guys. Yeah. But it goes even further. On our 2023 list, in Mandalay, the same camp as Michael Bloomberg and Henry Kissinger, for whom this would be the last Grove, is another name, David McCormick. At the time, McCormick was but a simple hedge fund billionaire who'd tried to run for Senate in Pennsylvania before being defeated by Dr. Oz in the primary. But just 2 months after this encampment, he announced he was running again. And this time, he won. So I compared our attendee list to McCormick's donors. 11 men in Mandalay camp donated to McCormick's campaign, and that's not even including the ones who gave through dark money channels. As senator, McCormick was part of an announcement with President Trump for a big push for AI investment in Pennsylvania, data centers and power plants. At the same event was this guy, Brendan Bechtel, the latest family CEO and heir to the Bechtel fortune. Bechtel is poised to get billions in construction contracts from this deal, funneling money and power to Bechtel.
Like, I do think this is the real thing with Bohemian Grove, is like all these fucking powerful people, they meet each other, they hang out, they have a great time, they form these social bonds, and then after they leave, they help each other out. Like, I think that is much more like common than this thing where they decided to fucking kill this whatever Social Security or whatever. They decided that at Bohemian Grove. It's like, I don't think that is. I mean, it's scary to think that happens, and I'm sure it does. But much more often, it's going to be they meet each other there, they like each other, they have fun with each other, they network, and then after the Grove, they like call each other up and whatever, hook each other up. Like, it's like I think I said this before on the stream, but like it's like with landlords, right? Like there's some corporate landlord training video where it was saying like, you don't want your tenants to form a union against you. You want your tenants to like talk to each other. So what you really should do is make sure that there are no common areas for them to hang out in. You don't want there to be a shared room. Like, you don't want there to be a place where they can all meet up and compare how much they're each paying for rent and compare how much you raise their rent and talk about like what repairs you haven't been doing. Like that's your number one thing as a landlord. If you want to make a lot of money, is to just make it so that your tenants can't hang out with each other. And that's fucked up, but that's like such a big part of it. And it's the same thing with like businesses. I'm sure it's the same strategy for them to be like, we don't want if you notice anyone talking about unions, we got to shut that down right away. Like, this shit it's like, we should feel the same way about Bohemian Grove that like landlords feel when they see that all of their tenants held a fucking potluck, like this is like the direct equivalent of that. It's like, we don't want all the people who are fucking us to be hanging out and comparing notes. We don't want that. We want them to be separate. But, they've got this secret club where they dance around and do shit.
It's as important to the Trump administration as it did to earlier administrations. Bechtel is getting big deals with foreign companies for U.S. construction, brokered by Trump. They have money tied up in the Venezuelan pipelines Trump wants to seize from the Venezuelan people. And they've been floated as a beneficiary of the Kushner-Trump plan to rebuild Gaza. We're seeing a level of
this is such a good illustration of how, and like Alex Jones talks about Trump like he's still this outsider. No, Trump just like faked it until he made it. He is the swamp. Like, he fully is the swamp. It's not a different swamp. It's not even a new swamp. It's the same swamp. You can't drain the swamp without fucking a massive and drastic redistribution of wealth. The swamp will simply sit there. He just was able to dump himself into that swamp.
Collusion among the ultra-wealthy that seems almost unbeatable.
Yes.
They are all on the same team.
Yeah,
they are all protecting each other.
Wait a minute. I thought you guys were for unions. More perfect. Wait, so you guys are anti-union now? You don't want the rich to be colluding? Okay.
It's not even about party.
It just seems a little hypocritical as all. I don't know.
Politics. Paul Pelosi, Nancy's.
See, this is bullshit. It's not even about party politics. It's like, yeah, oh, really? It's not even about party politics? You don't have to say that in this case. You really don't. This is a partisan gathering of elites.
Husband is on the list, as is his nephew.
Whoa.
Who work.
Those two guys that aren't even politicians, but they're related to Nancy Pelosi, who's not even fucking, like, she's a conservative Democrat.
For Harlan Crow. As our
I get why they're doing this, because they don't want it to be like, and we're not just attacking the Republicans here, but this is a Republican thing.
Several major centrist and Democratic Party donors. They have class solidarity.
Right.
But so do we. A tenants union was organized specifically to fight against John Atwater's Prime Realty. And they've had big wins because they organized every building that Prime owns. Even workers at the Grove had a win. A class action lawsuit by Grove valets alleging wage theft, misclassification, and other labor violations.
Of course they're pulling that shit, even on the fucking staff. And I will say, I have read that like the Bohemian Club itself, because it's not just a Grove, it's a club that exists year round and they hold events constantly. They struggle for money. Like they have to make money, so they need to collect dues, they need to get donations from people, and they throw tons of plays and shit all through the year, and they're always sending out like reminder emails and stuff to all their members, like, come and see the play. It's in like San Francisco, so it's not like convenient for people to get to. There's only one event that like everyone's got to go to, and it's the cremation of care, the owl sacrifice thing.
Went in favor of the workers.
I won some money recently in a class action about wage theft.
They weren't counting the overtime of the employees.
The whole world is moving towards understanding the connectedness that we all need to work together.
But knowing the truth, the connectedness, can help bring power back to everyone else. And we only scratch the surface here. We'll be releasing the full list so you can dig through yourself. Let us know what you find and reach out to us at stories@perfectunion.us.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, I am confused. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not quite sure what the list is. So this is from this guy, Kyle Undercover, who's a, whatever, right-wing dude on Twitter. I don't know. He seems like kind of a chud. I don't know if this is the full list, though. Yeah, no, I think it is, because it's actually got quite a few names on each page. We looked over this before. So this is the 2023 list of the secret camps and camp members and key to camp locations. This list does not include the +1 guests that members are allowed. But yeah, like, it seems like this is the same list that they're talking about, that, Boguslaw is like, we found it, the list, right? I mean, I think, anyway, I don't really know. Is the whole thing in alphabetical order? Like, if I go here and I put, let's say I put the names in alphabetical, does it look the same? Yeah, Abby Douglas D, Abbott Frank W. That's the same shit that's on here. Aquista Pace, Adams. Aquista Pace, Adams. Yeah, I mean, it looks like this is the same exact list, but it can't be, right? It's got to be new. Anyway, I don't know. So Conan is on the list, which we knew from looking at that list before, but it's just, I don't know, bears repeating. I love Conan. Conan's like one of the funniest people. He wrote the monorail episode of The Simpsons. He's the best late night host, in my opinion. But, like, part of being a late night host, you get along well with everybody. The guy, like, he went to Harvard, He's been around, like, rich people. He's got no issue commingling with society's worst. And I will say, during the writer's strike, he did not stop his show. He continued his show on, although so did pretty much everybody. It was a different time back then. We definitely have more, what's the word, class consciousness, I guess, now, like, where we're like, wait, like, Drew Barrymore didn't stop her show when the writer's strike happened? That's fucked. No scabs. But back when the other writer's strike happened, I think Conan continued his show, but he didn't have writers. So he was a scab, technically. He crossed the picket line. And he would do things like, he was like doing jokes where he's like, oh, let's see how long I can get this quarter to spin on my desk. And he's like, this is what happens when we don't have writers. But still, he continued his show, which is kind of a Bohemian Grove move. But it's funny because, like, people have reported seeing him for a while before we even had this list. I think I saw it on Reddit, and like people were like, I worked the Grove. I saw Conan O'Brien. And this is like, Conan O'Brien is like one of the most recognizable people on earth. He's like an 8-foot tall ginger, like, if you're looking out at a crowd of like 2,500 people, like, like wearing hooded robes gathered around a fucking, horrifying owl Moloch sacrifice, you could probably even then be like, oh shit, is that Conan? You know what I mean? So yeah, he's on there. And he's in the 3 3s. I don't even know what camp that is. The 3 3s. I mean, like, so I wonder, is he like another like talent hire? Is he somebody that they got like, hey, do you want to like host the talent show? I think I heard that actually. I think that's right. I think he hosted a night, but now he's a part of it. And he presumably he just goes there. One guy almost got fired for staring at him too long. Yeah, I hadn't heard that. That's crazy. One of his best friends is Timothy Oliphant, the guy from Deadwood and like Justified and stuff. They hang out. And honestly, I got nothing against Oliphant either. He's a cool dude. He seems funny. He's a good actor. I like his shows. But he is also like a Vanderbilt. Like, he's from a rich as fuck family. You're wanting to talk James Rothschild. No, don't dox me. So yeah, you could probably do +1 analysis to see who invited who. All right, I don't know how you do that. But yeah, I guess people thought the Random Chud made it up, but trust Boguslaw. Maybe they even got them from the same source. Could be, yeah. It seems it does. It's a little disappointing because I thought, anyway, this is just 2023 or whatever. I would love it if we could get a list of everyone who's ever been a part of Bohemian Grove. So I think that'll be my new list project. Because like a lot of people aren't on this list. Walter Cronkite's not on this list. None of the Bushes are on this list. Like George W. Bush isn't on the list, which I was surprised by because he's still alive. And he definitely was a member at some point. Although maybe this isn't the current members. Maybe this is just who attended. I think that seems to be the case, right? Yeah. Oh, this is cool, though. This is cool, too. I had fun with this. All right, listen. This is vibe coded. Or I don't know if it's vibe coded, but it uses AI. Let's go to the Hillbillies, since I feel like we've been talking about that one. So Hillbillies, these are supposed to be like guys from Texas. That's what this originally was. Has it changed? So, okay, here are the Hillbillies. And now, if you click on these names, it gives you an AI summary of who this guy is. So Lamar Alexander, employer, U.S. Senate. He's a senator, former president of the University of Tennessee. He's a Republican. Former U.S. senator, received $5,200 in self contributions. What? Okay, so he's Tennessee senator. That's interesting. Who's this guy? Bernard Alpert, a plastic surgeon based in San Francisco, CA, with a practice. Okay, this guy's not Texas either. Oh, maybe the Texan roots of this group has gotten watered down. Okay, this guy's Texas. A Dallas-based architecture, engineering, construction CEO. This one surprised me, actually. I wasn't expecting this. You guys know who Kix Brooks is? Kix Brooks? I sing this guy's songs at karaoke. He's a country music singer. Brooks and Dunn. Kix Brooks, country music artist, former host, American Country Countdown. Considers himself fairly conservative and was a supporter of George W. Bush. Better known as one half of country duo Brooks and Dunn. He was active for 20 years. He hosted the syndicated some really good songs Brooks and Dunn have. And some, like, very kind of fucked up reactionary ones. But, yeah. The sun goes down on my side of town. Lonesome feeling comes through my brain. Something like that. I lost confidence in the song as I started singing. I was like, how does it go? Anyway. But yeah, it looks like, Southern at least. It looks like it's expanded beyond just, Texas. Basic American foods. Like, all of these people in the thing have been, at least by this AI, tied to some company. Christopher Buckley is an author, a novelist. Oh, he's the son of William F. Buckley Jr. Oh, this is actually funny, too. This is something I noticed. If we go back to the thing here, a lot of these guys are juniors, seniors, thirds, and fourths. So, yeah, check this out. So out of how many names are there altogether? In total, there's 2,205 names. All right. So I made a list of anyone who had a junior, senior, third, or fourth in their name. Check this out. Look at this. Boom, 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 boom. Thirds, fourths, junior. So many juniors. Oh, my God. And there's like a couple seniors. 276. It's like 12% of the people on this list are juniors, seniors, thirds, and fourths. Oh, you could have been a 5 if my grandfather and father both continued naming each. Oh, okay. So your grandfather was a third, I guess. I asked in the Discord, I was like, is this like a rich person thing to name your kid Junior? Like, I feel like maybe it's like something like, that way people will know, it's like Donald Trump Jr. It's like, people will know, and the name will help them in life because they'll know not to fuck with them. They're like, oh shit, that's Donald Trump's son. But like, I guess it is just kind of a thing that everybody does. People from all tax brackets give their children vanity names. This is funny. There are a lot of people reacting to this. The big news about this list got published in like a lot of things, but this was the funniest response from Tatiana Canzavelli on LinkedIn. And this is the most LinkedIn post of all time, at least in the running for it. Bohemian Grove has always been fascinating for the same reason private clubs are fascinating. So let me stop you right there. Bohemian Grove is a private club, so okay, yeah. It's not the campfires, it's the bet work. Already, this is definitely, I know, like, it can be hard to tell. Sometimes people, like, AI writes in a lame way, and so do a lot of people on LinkedIn, but this is specifically an AI accent. AI loves to be like, it's not this, it's this. It's not just big, it's huge, or something. Like, it's not X, it's Y. And also, like, the adding in the emoji there. It's not the campfires, it's the bet work. Also, bet work? What the fuck are you talking about? Bet work is that supposed to be like a Muppets sort of like portmanteau of like Bohemian Grove and network? Bet work. It's like Mobject from Epstein's Radical Breakthroughs. Mental object equals mobject. Bohemian Grove, network, bet work. Amazing. Yesterday, Daniel Boguslaw dropped a list of Bohemian Grove members. So I did what builders do. It's like you meet this girl at like a cocktail party. Well, what do you do for work? I'm a builder. Oh, really? Okay. Cool. Yes, I build Betworks. Anyway, I did what builders do. I turned it into something you can actually use. Today, we shipped a new feature inside Women in Gen AI, rocket ship emoji for no reason, a searchable database of Grove members, cross-referenced with open source intelligence, and transformed into an access map that shows, check, your proximity score, check, how many steps you are from high-influence nodes, check, the best introduction paths, you, connector, target, check, an intro button that generates a credible outreach draft in seconds. Oh my God. Like, why didn't you do this with like the Epstein emails? We looked at the Epstein emails and we cross-referenced an open source intelligence node network. Don't get left out in the cold. Next time the DOJ is forced to release a tranche of the world's most elite pedophiles. Like, this is so funny to me. An intro button that generates a credible outreach drive. Like, literally, this is like, there's a Bohemian Grove and you're not invited. You got to do what the builders do. Let's get you into that owl ceremony next year. Oh my God. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Power doesn't move through resumes. Handshake emoji. It moves through relationships. And for decades, those relationship maps were hidden behind invitations, gatekeepers, legacy institutions. And then in quotes, you're not on the list. Man, keep getting told I'm not on the list. That's stopping me from getting to these relationship maps. We're flipping that model. Oh my God. I love how she drops Betwork here. Never explained. Doesn't say what the fuck she's talking about later. Women in Gen AI, empowering women in generative AI. Okay, here's the other thing. Bohemian Grove does not allow women in. It's men's only. That's a thing. It's a men's only club, and until very recently, it was like Protestant white men's only. Joe, fuck, do I have to join the community to get access to this? Tiffany joined the community. Well, that's giving me FOMO. Viv joined the community 8 hours ago. Tiffany joined it again? Oh, jeez. Received daily AI briefings. The thing is, I don't want any of this shit.